Welcome back to the Living for His Glory podcast. If you're an OG, you know who this is. He was on here several years ago when we first started this for the very first time, late in December of 2022, maybe even gone into January, but I believe it was December. So he was on here 3 years ago in my early episodes. Trenton Hale. We went to high school together. We were still in high school together when we last recorded a podcast together. Since then, a lot's happened. I moved to Nashville. He moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky to WKU. Since then, he is now working an internship in Washington, D.C., Mr. Politics over here. And man, I love him to death. It's awesome just to see him again. I don't get to go home and see Trenton anymore. That's unfortunate. Thank God COVID happened. So now we have Zoom. Isn't that great? Which we had Zoom long before COVID.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Zoom became popular during COVID, but it was there before it. But I'm super thankful for you, man. Super thankful for our time together. I'm super thankful to be on here, man, because I think you got a perspective that nobody else on here has had. The people I've had on here, they're not very political people, and they've definitely never been in the Washington, D.C. landscape. The depth that you have is beyond anybody that has ever been on here, especially myself. You know me, man. I try to stay away from that as much as I can. But I'm really excited to hear the faith aspect that you have being in that kind of context. And so, man, we're going to get into a bit of that. You're going to share some stories. It's going to be great. But first of all, man, how are you?
Doing great, man. Excited to be back on here.
Oh, yeah, man. It's good. Last time, you remember what we talked about last time?
I'm blanking on it.
The difference between quitting and realizing it's not for you. That's what it was. So if you want to hear a couple of teenagers go talk about that, you can go look at that episode from 3 years ago. These days, we're no longer teenagers, but that's just a blessing, ain't it?
Such a blessing on so many levels.
Yeah. My first question for you, and I think this is an important one, before we get into how your faith just impacts others, I'd like to hear about how you're keeping your faith, because the political landscape that we face, politics has only become more and more relevant, right? It's become more and more of a topic, especially because a few months ago we saw a huge political assassination, which I'm sure impacted your world tremendously over there. And just going into all these different things of the media with it's become huge. Like we only really used to see all these political things, at least on my end, around election times. But now it's everywhere at all times, 24/7. There's always stuff coming out. Man, and that, especially in your environment, in Washington, D.C., around those kinds of people, that's really become a really secularized. How are you keeping your faith in the middle of that?
I always realize that no matter what I'm doing in this environment is none of this is anywhere near as important compared to what Christ has for us. All this political stuff is, while interesting and very important, it pales in comparison to what Christ has offered for us. So everything that I'm reminded of is that all this is just temporary stuff, whereas Christ is forever, and making sure I'm on with that. And always remembering who I am and who I was raised to be, and that is to follow Christ first. So with everything that I do, I try to transform it with Christ. I don't try to do like politics without Christ. I try to do politics with Christ. And I try just not to ever forget that. And whatever I'm doing, I always try to think my political principles with, does it align with Christ? And if it doesn't, I abandon those political principles.
What kind of biblical principles have you had to remove after realizing, hey, this doesn't line up with the gospel?
I think some more principles that I've abandoned because of the gospel is more individualistic nature about certain stuff. The Bible is not that individualistic. It's broader, and I was much for that line of politically thinking. So that's the big thing that I had to give up. It was that thinking overall.
So you talk about more of that community-based thinking that, hey, it's not actually the gospel is not individualistic at all. It's about one kingdom, the kingdom of God. All those coming together in that. Yes, unique. We're all unique. We all have our unique spiritual gifts, but at the end of the day, we all belong to that one singular kingdom. I'm just curious about the specifics of that, how that really particularly shows up.
Yeah. Can you rephrase the question again? I didn't really understand that.
Yeah. So you talked about the Bible being something about community, the gospel. It's a community message. You talked about leaving behind the individualistic thought process that is not the gospel. I'm just curious about how that has shown up in your life, in your belief systems, and your principles.
Yeah, so a lot of it is more so realizing that this kind of gets into a little more aspects of libertarianism that's a little more selfishness, whereas we kind of have to abandon that. So I've shown up as I focus on the community as a whole and go beyond just myself. Specifically, is it is all this is bigger than just me. It is bigger than just everyone. So you have to take it as a more collective group and focus on the whole community as a whole and how they're doing instead of just myself or just certain individuals. So I do that by trying to think about what impacts can be made that helps the community as a whole instead of just like one person, which is what a lot of the individualist mindset that I had a while was just how does this impact the individual instead of just the wider community. So I've always had to change my entire thought process to be just how does this affect people on an individual basis and how does it affect the entire community as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have you taken that like in the realm of community work? Have you taken that in the realm of there's these different, maybe even brainstorming new policies that can be changed to help the community as a whole? I'm curious, man. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about your world.
Yeah. No, my politics stuff is my mentality is all about what legislation can have the biggest impact on the community that will uplift it in the best way possible. And for a while, so my politics was more just like this might have some negative ramifications, but it's fine because the individuals can benefit instead of the community as a whole. Whereas now, like, especially with issues like poverty, the economy, healthcare, it's all about like how can the community as a whole, across all different groups, benefit. It's not just one or one specific group. I used to think it's about every single person in this community. So it's all been thinking about like, legislation of what can actually be done that is achievable and also can help everyone, and also community work, doing that, giving back to the community, donating my time and money to organizations that help lift people out of things like poverty or have healthcare needs that aren't met due to the current broken system with that. So it's all about finding ways that I can get involved and pushing for that.
Yeah. In the world that you're in, as me and you both know, and I think I mentioned this earlier, it's become a lot more secular. When America was first founded, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a requirement to be a Christian if you wanted to be a government leader, correct?
I'm not really sure that was the case.
Okay, that's what I heard. I might be wrong, but I believe at the very least it was founded by Christians.
Yes, that
Um,
is correct.
yes. These days, it's much more of a thing of, man, you can't be a Christian if you want to be a political leader. It's become so secular, a lot, well, really worldly speaking. And I think there's some relevant politicians that have that more Christian component, but as for the most part, they just don't. And in fact, there's some politicians that today it's, man, are you even truly on the side of trying to make America as a whole better? Never mind the faith. You're trying to,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, and I'm not trying to be, this is not a political podcast, so I'm going to stay away from that as best as I can. But what is the best way that you have found that you can keep your faith as a Christian and keep yourself in a lot of ways wholly away from the secular world that you currently live in and have to deal with?
Yeah, for me, it's my mentality is more just I'm here to be a public servant and actually serve the public, which most politicians abandon that mindset because when they get into politics in DC, it becomes quickly how can I gain power and how can I make more money? It becomes more about themselves. Whereas my mentality is the opposite. It's not about how much power I can make, it's how much good that I can do. And to actually have good impacts on the community has to be through God. So my whole mentality is just this is not about me. I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve others. That's the whole purpose of what a public servant should be. So my mentality is just do away with anything powerful, money, just abandon all that and just help others.
I agree. So getting more into the transformation, because when I reached out to you about this podcast, the transforming aspect of it, because that's what we're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do.
Mm,
You're trying to,
right.
like politicians, they're trying to change the political landscape. And like you said earlier, a lot of them do it for selfish reasons, right? We need more
Yeah.
Christians because Christians, at least true Christians, are selfless because Jesus himself was selfless, following that model.
Mm,
And so when he transformed the culture, he transformed it into its perfect, like Jesus is God revealed. And so everything that Jesus did and said is God revealed to us. And so when you're in a world like you are, like when we're in a world like we are, what are some ways that you as a Christian show up and become an active participant in changing the story and transforming the story and doing your at least as much as you can do to transform the landscape to at least be a little bit more like Christ, to at least carry out things in a more biblical sense?
Yeah, so I think one big thing is trying to find common ground without conforming to the world. Paul tells us in First Corinthians that he tries to find common ground, everyone doing everything. He tells us not to conform to the world, but he does try to find common ground with it, as well as try to be around people that, are broken and need help. Jesus was around sinners, but he didn't conform to them. He was with them to try and transform them. So everything that I do, I try to be with all of them, find what we can agree on, and transform it to that, and keep going slowly by slowly, and being around them and showing case of putting forth Christian principles in action.
Yeah, that's good. I like how articulate you are. Your answers are they're quick, they're well spoken, they're articulate. I'm trying to come up with a bunch of questions to ask you because I'm trying to I'm not trying for this to be a 20-minute podcast because I think there's
Yeah.
a little bit more than that. But man, you're just quick, you're efficient, man. I love it. That's good. A lot of politicians are long-winded to my knowledge.
I'm not a typical politician, so I don't got that
I
problem.
know, yeah, that's why I have you on here. I wouldn't have a typical politician on here. Because again, they're secular, right? They're becoming
Yeah.
very worldly. I love it, man. Yeah, finding that common ground because that's just another amazing thing. Because I remember back when I used to be a member of this country club called Greenbrier Country Club, and so I played golf
Hmm.
there, right? And I'd get done, I'd go eat lunch or dinner after a round or after practice, and I didn't have anybody to sit with, not 99% of the time. So I just go up there to the bar by myself, get food, drink a Sprite. And so I became friends with the servers, with the bartenders, we became really close with them. And I remember I was talking about my faith with one of them. She wasn't a woman of faith. And I remember I was just talking to her about the Bible. This is what the Bible says. This is what happens here. I can't get on myself too much. I was a 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid. But
Right.
I remember she was like, is there anything you have that's not from the Bible? Because I'm not a Bible believing person. I don't take it as the authority that it is, as the authority that you have from it. I don't, it's not a credible enough thing for me. I think there's great things in there, but it's not a credible source of this is how I'm going to base my entire life. Do you have anything from there? And I think you will encounter, or you have encountered a lot of people that's like the Bible. I'm throwing that out. It don't matter what that says. Is there anything else that you can give me, like logic and reason? So what I'm trying to get at is you're talking about common ground. How do you find that as a Christian, trying to help them conform to Christian beliefs, or even if they're open to it, become a Christian? How are you finding that common ground with the secular people who don't take any authority from the Bible?
Yeah. So some common ground that I find is a lot of them, while yes, very secular, still hold some of the beliefs of helping others, helping their neighbors, caring another, while they ultimately are motivated by self-interest, they still have those aspects in there. So I help try and conform that with that is showcasing their principles that are still inside of them of helping others and showcasing how you can do that through Christ. And the only way you can really do that is through Christ. And then just recognizing just how important it is to follow it. Because abandoning the principles and abandoning these faiths of Christianity will not lead you to a fulfilling life. You will feel empty without Him. And the reason they might feel empty and need fulfilling is because they haven't found Him, and that to get to where they want to be, they have Christ to be actually fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me, I remember, do you know who Drip King is? I don't
Yes.
follow him. I don't absorb his stuff, but he's a Christian guy. Or am I thinking of somebody
Yeah.
else? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It
No.
was him.
Yes.
It was him. Okay. I don't follow his stuff, but I saw this one post that he made of how like he was this and that and this, and then he found Jesus and became and right, and that kind of faded away, like the lust.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was alcoholism, right? Give me this
Yep.
person. So I looked at the comments and I saw, yeah, that's great, except I don't need somebody to tell me to be a good person. I don't need a book to tell me to be a good person. And people like they focus so much on trying to be a good person. It's this thought process that if I'm a good enough person, I'm fine, right? I'll go and I'll serve the shelter. I'll go donate. I'll go and be like, I won't go around trying to sleep with a bunch of women, or if you're a woman, sleep with a bunch of men, or in today's world, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But these values, these principles. And okay, yeah, I got morality. I'm an ethical human being. I don't need a book to tell me how to be ethical. Dude, one of the major things I've learned this past semester, I took a theology course, I loved it, was you can't reduce Jesus to an ethical model. Yeah, it helps. Like there's some moral principles you learn from being more, yes, you'll become more moral or more ethical, whatever, but you can't reduce Christ to something that's just strictly ethical. There's so much more to the Bible than simply living better, than simply
Mhm.
being on your best behavior. It's a renewal of your mind, a transforming of self. Like salvation's a byproduct of that. It's not simply like I'm going to start behaving better. You start living better.
Yeah.
Your heart
Yeah.
is better. Like not just living, it's the heart change. It's
Your heart
incredible.
changed.
Like
Yeah.
if you reduce Jesus to a simple moral law or a simple moral model, you're missing who he is. It's God revealed working within us. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like,
Amazing.
so these people are like, oh, I don't need a book. I don't need the Bible to be a good person. That's not just about
It's
being a
so
good
much
person.
more than that. It's also about building the relationship with God.
Yeah. You ever meet somebody that did ethical things, but they weren't an ethical person? So yeah, you did this, but what good is it really? Because
Yeah.
doing ethical things and being an ethical person are very different things. And even just, I use the word ethical person, but that's not even the full scape of what a true Christian is, of what living as a true
Right.
Christian is. But I'll use it for now.
Yeah.
But if you were to go out and give money, right? Donate your money, donate your time, donate whatever, serve. But you did it to be like, hey, I want to get here. You're selfish, aren't you?
Yeah. It's very selfish to say
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, like even my role so I have this church in Nashville that I love. If you're ever in Nashville on a weekend, man, I'm taking you. All right, you're
All
going.
right.
It's a great church. It's only 2 years old, so I fell in love with this church. And then last spring, I talked with the pastor. I said, "Hey, look, I need to take an internship with the church if I want to graduate." And so I was going to do it this past fall. I said, "Hey, can you do it this fall?" He said, "Let me think about it." And got back to me and said, "Hey, no, I can't," because he's a busy guy, right? 2-year-old
Hmm.
church. It's still in its infant
Right.
stages. And so I started this fall instead of working an internship in late August. I was like, I'm going to go serve. I should do
Yeah.
that. Get plugged in, serve. Like, how can I lead a church if I'm not willing to serve it? I got plugged into their serve team. I'm on the parking team. If you guys are listening down in Nashville and you want to go to Way Church, you see a big guy in an orange vest waving an orange baton trying to get you to park. If I mess up, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do it with a smile. So at least you see a
Yeah.
smile. But when I got in there, I've had some mindsets of I'm trying to get in there and get more plugged in and get people to know me. Like I'm trying to work my way up to when I graduate pastor at this church because I do love the church and I would love to do that. But I'm serving, right? I'm getting there at 6:20 in the morning. It's December. It's cold. All right. So we're at parking. It's cold. Sometimes it gets wet and rainy, which makes it work. Sometimes there's wind, right? All these different things. Yeah, I'm doing good stuff. I'm helping out. I'm serving my community, serving my church. But if my only goal is to work my way up, I'm selfish. I might be trying
Yeah.
to do ministry, but I'm selfish, man. And so I've had to give myself a little ego check. I remember my first ever golf tournament. I made a birdie on the first hole, my first college tournament. I went to the first tournament of the season of my freshman year. So I was in the top 5 right off the bat. Step up to the first hole. I make birdie on my first hole. And I'm like, shoot, I just started off my college career with a birdie. Then I'm like, hey, get over yourself. Get over yourself. And went out and had a great day. Just get over yourself. Get over yourself. Get over. It's not about
Yep.
you, right? It's about what you're doing.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
you talk about serving, man. That's cool because if you serve, hey, I'm doing this. I'm serving, and I'm not serving to make it about me. I'm serving because Christ served. Just that amazing model of servitude, of service. And so when me and you, we go out and serve, we talk about your time and money, and my time and my money too, right?
Yeah.
Tithing to the church. It's not just about me showing up Sunday morning and parking some people. Tithing, supporting, right? That these different kinds of things of that servitude, that servant's heart. It's just like that should be the ultimate aim of no matter what platform you're on, whether you're serving a church like me, whether you're doing ministry like our pastor is, whether you're in politics like you are, no matter if you work a desk job, right? How can I serve somebody today? Even let's say you work
Mhm.
at a gas station. You got customers that come in. You got to go check them out, scan their stuff. How do you serve them? How do you serve somebody? Like the nature of the Christian life is servitude. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Not for any selfish ambition, but because man, it's what we're told. Serve.
We're commanded to do.
Yeah.
God tells us what he
Yeah.
calls us for.
Oh yeah. I heard a sermon last Sunday, my last Sunday in Nashville for the next month, for the rest of this year. And our pastor, he preached about what the happiest people were, right? And he said in the middle of the sermon, if I wanted to preach about how to be the Grinch, I'd say, point number 1, think about yourself. Point number 2, think about yourself. Point number 3, think about yourself. And the Grinch is like the model. He's the personification of unhappiness, of hatred. He's sitting there on the mountain. If you watch the Jim Carrey Grinch, hate, hate, double hate, loathe entirely. I know I have a great Grinch impression.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Isn't it great? But if you want to be unhappy, think about yourself. People say focus on yourself. That's true to an aspect, but I like to think about let Christ focus on you. When you think about focus on yourself,
Yeah.
how is Christ focusing on you to change and transform you? But you go out and serve others. I have
Mhm.
found the amount of joy I have in simply parking people. I'm not like greeting them. I'm not seating them. I'm definitely not preaching to them, but simply just going and parking somebody and getting them out of church, which is madness in itself. It's the hardest part of it. But
Yeah.
simply doing that, I'm not even interacting with them. But the fulfillment I get from just serving them, not even interacting with them for the most part, dude, it's been way better than when I first started was thinking, all right, I got to work my way up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's something that you can't really explain. It's something that you have to live in.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I went on a tangent right there. I probably stole your
No,
thunder.
no, you're all good. Not just about me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, see, look at that. Yeah. Dude, I've even had people on here where sometimes I'll let my ego get in the way a bit, where it'll be the reverse of what just happened, where right there, I just went on a probably 10, 15-minute long tangent. But I'll have guests on here where it'll be like they keep cutting me off. I've had two in particular.
Mhm.
There's two of them in particular that I can name top of my head, but I won't because I'm a good person. But
Exactly.
good person in quotations if you're listening and not watching on YouTube. But I'm like, Josh, you just cut me off at every turn. I'm like, and I'll have the thought process of like, hey, this isn't your podcast, this is my podcast. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's not. I'm just the host. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just the host, man. This ain't about me. It's about Jesus. Cut,
Exactly.
yeah, getting cut off. Nobody likes to get cut off. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But but that doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's not about them. It's not about me. It's about God. And so if them cutting me off in some way or form makes it more like God, then great, man. Like
Mhm.
my own pride and hubris out of the way. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And is that something that's been difficult for you in the landscape that you're in? Because I'm sure there's plenty of prideful people that you're around. Do you feel like you're almost putting yourself at a disadvantage trying to not be prideful and not be like that?
Towards the beginning, it definitely was because there's a lot of those kind of people here in the city, but not really anymore because I always been reminded it's not just about me. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for others. I'm here to glorify God. So while it's very easy to fall into that, and I definitely fell into that in the beginning, and I've realized that doesn't really matter to the day. So I'm not going to concern myself that really much anymore.
Yeah. One thing, and I'm curious, this can be a yes or no, no shame or guilt either way. But we talked a lot about, especially in your work life, the secular nature of it. Have you found a godly Christian holy community that you're a part of outside of office hours or maybe even inside of office hours?
Yeah, there are definitely both other people in our office that are definitely kind of like me and how they try to promote their Christian values to our office. And I go with them to church every week and be
Okay.
part of that community. So
Good. You
it's
found a good
just helped
church.
me. Yeah, it's actually helped me find the church because I was struggling for a while. And it's just, hey, let's go with me to this church, see if you like it. I've been going ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the one thing I think about you, Trenton. I do. And sometimes I'm like, in that kind of realm, I get a little scared for you sometimes because, and me and you talked about this before we started recording, the shutdown that we had, and you didn't have an income for a month and a half, that kind of thing. And then I know the secular world that a lot of people have adopted in that realm. And I'm like, shoot, Is Trenton ever going to get to a point where he falls away from the faith? I reached out to you and I was like, hey, do you want to be on this Christian podcast? And my biggest fear was like, no, I don't think I'm properly equipped to be on this podcast anymore. I'm not much of a faith guy. And I'm just super happy and encouraged to see that you're still going. You're still going strong. In fact, you're still
Thank you.
growing in that, dude. That's super encouraging. Like, I feel like it's easy for me because I go to a Christian university. You are not in that. So, I think you're one of those guys that's just a living example, just proof that you don't have to be in a godly environment to be a godly person. In fact, let's look at the Apostle Paul. That man, you're not traveling like the Apostle Paul is, but like the Apostle Paul, like he wasn't just around a bunch of Christian believers. He had them, he found them, he fostered them, he mentored them. Like Timothy's a great one. Like I love the Paul and Timothy dynamic, and then Paul got mentored by Barnabas, which is amazing. Just a testament to we need mentors in our life. We need godly mentors in our life. But one huge thing is like, he had that set of believers, but he wasn't in that ton. He had to travel. And they had to travel too. Like Timothy and Barnabas had their own journeys and setting up church, which means if you're setting up a church, man, it means you're starting it. And it's a lonely road, man. And then you're building believers through that, which means if you're building believers, that means that they were once when you found them not believers. And I had to call them up and keep his faith. And Paul was able to do that incredibly well. Think about how much the New Testament is written because of him. You don't get to do that without keeping your faith. Paul is in prison a lot, and sometimes awaiting, like he didn't know if he was going to die tomorrow or next month or next year. He didn't know. He might get killed soon. They might come and execute him, right? But even in the middle of that, he wrote Philippians, which is the happiness book. This is the happiest book of the Bible, at least the New Testament. It's its nickname.
Yeah.
And even in that situation, it's amazing what you can do in spite of your circumstances. So man, you're a living testimony that no matter what your circumstance is, no matter what you're around, you get to continue to keep that.
There's always ways to find joys in every situation that you are.
Yeah.
There's always something to be good and appreciate in everything, even the worst situations.
Yeah. I actually want to explore that a little bit because tell you what, man, most people, they've never had their income taken away for a month and a half. Like, at least without getting fired. At least if their income is gone for that long, it means that they just don't have a job and they're not working. You were working without an income for a month and a half. Yeah, you got compensated for that, whatever. But, like, how terrifying and scary that must have had to have been. Like, I'm going to have to keep showing up every single day for this job, and I just don't know when I'm going to get paid again. I don't know when things are going to happen. Dude, what was it like to find joy in the middle of that?
And during the middle of all that, it was that I still had a lot of savings and a family to support me if I really needed it during this time. And I was able to find joy in that I'm in a great situation compared to others where they're probably living paycheck to paycheck. I heard that in the calls at work of like people who were government employees living paycheck to paycheck and they weren't really sure about anything. So I was able to find comfort in the fact that I was in a better position, and I'm so grateful for the position that I was in during the shutdown, as well as the fact that there are opportunities like other organizations and nonprofits would do is where they would give away like free lunches and dinners to people that were government employees who weren't getting paid. So I was able to find joy in that. The people were trying to help during this entire situation. And again, it's the fact that I was just in a good situation where I could afford to live that paycheck for a little bit. So I'm very grateful for that because I know most others weren't. And I'm so thankful God put me in a position to where I had that luxury.
Yeah. Yeah. Blessings, man. Right? You just
Absolutely.
like that's just a testament to what preparation can do. And preparation is something that the gospel speaks on. It's something the Bible speaks on as a whole. Proverbs, man, touches on preparation. Talks about what hard work will do, what smart work will do, and people they get fruits from their labors. I didn't hear about the shutdown when it happened until a couple of days later, so I definitely don't know any build up. I don't know if it came as a shock to you, as oh my gosh, we're in this now, or if you saw it coming. But let's imagine you only had like maybe a max of a few days to be like, oh, this is happening. It's like all of a sudden a drop of a dime, you don't have that luxury anymore. You don't, or at least that income. And so now you got to rely on savings and other people helping you, which is great. But you did things in years prior and times where you had that income, had that paycheck, whatever, where you're like, hey, I should build this. This is a good thing to think about. And you even had a lot of people, they can't build their savings because everything that they're making has to go into their living. They have to pay
Mm-hmm.
rent. They have to pay groceries. They have to pay gas. And they have to pay all these different kinds of things. And they don't even have any money left over to put in the savings anyways. But
Yeah.
you had that. You had the
Mm-hmm.
luxury of savings, especially like you went to college for 2 years at WKU. Like you had to pay tuition, right? Like you had enough to put in your savings over time that you were able to use. And God was able to use that to keep you going in the middle of that 40 something days without an income. That's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible how God takes
It
care of us.
is. I still don't fully understand it. It's just, I'm always so grateful for it, and I always will be. I can't understand why he's so grateful to me on that. What have I done? Feel like at times like rebel against him a lot. So I kind of feel I'm a little just unworthy of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sermon on the Mount, Jesus talks about worrying, how it doesn't add a single hour to your life. He talks about the birds in the air, right? The beasts or whatever in the grass, right? Or no, he talks
Yeah.
about the grass himself, the grass and the flowers themselves, about how he takes care of it, how he feeds the birds, how he keeps the grass and the flowers flourishing. It's like, how much more will your heavenly Father care for you? You who are made, the
Yeah.
birds aren't made in his image. Me and you are. How much
Mm-hmm.
more, Trenton, will God take care of us who are made in his image?
We cannot comprehend just how much he will take care of us. It is just on so much, on so many levels that we will never even begin to understand
Yes.
what he has done for us and what he will continue to do for us.
Yes.
And it's why I'm always so appreciative of it, because I can't understand it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No,
that's part of the beauty of it.
it's so beautiful, man. It's so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. The guy I had on here last week, Jordan Sims. So he's 22 years old and he's married and he's got this beautiful daughter. I think she just hit 1 year old. And he talked about like the change in his life after he became a dad. And we talked about, man, how much you love your daughter. Like God loves you that much more because he's that much more of love, of loving character than me and you are, especially just because he's sinless and everything else. Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so like me and you, we don't get it because we're not dads.
Yeah.
We're far from it. And so
Yeah.
we'll be able to understand that more and more as maybe that continues to develop, man. But as for right now, dude, we just have to sit there and marvel. Like he takes care of us. You talk about being worthy. I think it's something we need to talk about because so my favorite book in the Bible is James. Are you familiar with James?
Yeah.
It's the works-based book in the New Testament. The whole model of what James is about is the simple phrase, faith without works is dead, which I think is in James 2.
Yes.
Faith without works is dead. So it's that works-based, doing things, but if you take it out of the context of the nature of the gospel, it doesn't make sense because we're doing something from something, not for it. You talk about being
Yeah.
worthy of it. Trenton, the only thing
Mm-hmm.
that you had to do to be worthy of God providing for you is being his child and being made in his image, which guess what? You were born that way.
Already are.
Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't lived a day on earth where you weren't his child. You haven't lived a
Yep.
day on earth where you weren't made in his image. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
you didn't have to do anything to be worthy of it. You just had to be born, which
Yep.
congratulations, you were. And even then the Bible says, that God knew you in the womb.
Yep.
You weren't even born yet. You weren't even apart from your mother yet. And
And
you
he already
already,
knew us. Yep.
man, like you take it, if we look at the gospel, man, like the faith, like when I'm talking about doing works, we talked about this earlier. Like we do works from faith. We do
Mm-hmm.
works not out of ambition or because we're doing it for something. So many people do works because they're trying to get something. You talk about with the politicians, they're doing stuff to get power, to get more money. And that's why they're doing stuff. That is the base of their works. It's not about what works you do. It's about what you're basing your works in. If you're basing your works in the power and the money and the whatever, man, like what good does it do? But if you're basing your works in the gospel and service, if you're basing your work in this heart change of, man, I got to go help somebody. I need to help them to no benefit of my own and to sometimes even detriment of my own, or it hurts me to go and do this. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
people like are missionaries, man. Like you've seen all over the media what's happening in Nigeria right now. It's terrible.
Yeah.
What's been going on there? Thousands and thousands of Christians killed and martyred, and oh my goodness, dude, it's just a terrible thing to watch. Like those people that go over there, they're going to go help somebody, but they ended up being hurt themselves. But do you know what? I'm willing to bet, because we know about missionaries getting killed. That's not a new thing. Martyrs are not a new thing. Like Stephen, the
Yeah.
first martyr, or Stephen, the first martyr. I don't remember the date, but it was probably only a couple years maybe after the crucifixion and resurrection, if that. Like martyrs have been around since the resurrection, buddy. Like they know what they're signing up for. Like the people I'm around at college that are going to go out and be missionaries. One actually he just graduated. Like we just wrapped up finals week. He's done now. Now he's going to go be a missionary somewhere. Smart guy, super intelligent. I could never begin to be on this guy's level. Like when I did group projects with him, I learned, oh my gosh, learned more from him than I do my professor sometimes. It's incredible. And he's going to go be a missionary. He knows, and we've had conversations. He knows what he's signing up for. He knows what can happen. He's like, man, it's a detriment to myself. Obviously, dying is not ideal. It's not. People don't wake up, I'm going to go die today. I can't wait. Let's go be martyred. That's not what we wake up wanting to do. But I get to go and serve, and I get to go and advance the gospel. I get to go live that and help somebody else, even if it ends up being the cost of my own life. What greater thing is there than that? There's just not. Like,
Exactly.
Man, it's so crazy when I think about it, because, and I say that dying does no good. I won't say that, because if you're a believer, it does all the good in the world. Paul writes that he's ready. Like he's excited and he's waiting to go to heaven. That's why when a believer dies, man, I don't like the word dying when it comes to a believer. I do like that passing away. But people like to use passing away to, at least in my experience, make it nicer. Oh, he just passed away. He's not dead. He just passed away. If you're a believer, man, that's true. You just passed from this earthly realm to a heavenly one.
Yeah.
The earthly kingdom to the heavenly kingdom. You know what I mean? You're still alive. Your heart's just not beating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Your soul's still alive. Your just human body is not.
Yeah, man. Like that. Like my friend, if I hear one day, like, hey, he went to this country, this foreign country, right? And bad thing happened. They killed him, martyred. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'd be sad. He's a friend of mine. I love the guy. But I'd be like, I'd rejoice. I'm like, man, he's still alive. I just don't get to see him right now.
Yeah.
He's alive. He's made it.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking the fact that you don't get to see him right now. They are ultimately in a better place.
Yeah, man. And shoot, dude, the presence of God's probably a better presence than my own. If I'm gonna be honest,
it's a little bit.
Most people I'd willing to bet would rather be in the presence of God than the presence of Lucas Barrett.
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way, man. Trent's over here right now. I'm like, man, I wish I'd rather be with God right now. This guy's
You said it, not me.
You said it, not. That's right. That's right, man. Dude, it's just so cool, man. It's just so cool to see. Oh my gosh, we've had some good conversation on this one. I've enjoyed it.
I love this. This is awesome.
This has been. I think I like this one a lot better than our first one, which, God, I hope so. We were both 18-year-old kids when we did that. I hope so.
Yep. Yeah. We've grown a lot since then.
Yeah, we have, man.
So much.
It's so cool to see and talk with you about it. Like, I know we're doing this for a podcast, but if you're listening right now, I'm just catching up with a friend of mine. Like, this is what we do. Like, when we go, or at least when we used to go home for break together, we'd go and see this old teacher we had, Dr. Parks, and we'd go to Culver's or something with the fellas, and we'd laugh, we'd joke around, but we talk. Like, not about just goofiness. There's some goofy things, but we just go and have conversations like these are important. Like, we talked about service and doing it from a godly heart, and that's the biggest takeaway from this episode, I think. But another big takeaway that I think that anyone that's listening to this take away from any episode is go have a conversation like this with different kinds of people. I try to bring different kinds of people on here. I'm trying to make this more and more diverse. Like I said in the beginning, the first relative politician that I've ever had on here. It's not a contest. Like, nobody else knows this like you do.
Politician.
In
quotation marks.
Yeah, at least someone as well versed in that realm as you are. You're the guy. But go and have these conversations with somebody new, somebody that you don't know, somebody that you might disagree with, because And look, if you go and you have these conversations with them, I'm sure Trenton has plenty of conversations with people like that. And you figure out, it's like, hey, like, I still don't like this. It's great. You had the conversation. You open
Yeah.
yourself up to that opportunity. But hey, you might go and you might learn something. I think Trenton has learned a lot of things since I last saw him, since I went to school with him and saw him every day.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like you talked about earlier, like the more community-based mindset. I'm like, yeah, he wasn't like that in high school. He like, no, you weren't a community guy. Yeah, you were a nice guy, but no, you're not
Very isolated.
Yeah, you were isolated. You're a nice guy, isolated.
Yeah.
Community, like you didn't do the community thing real well.
No,
But you know,
not at all.
you're more introverted than I am. I'll go talk to everybody. Shoot, my dog comes walking in right now. I'll be like, hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing, dog? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to myself. If I see a mirror, man, I'm like, hey, how are you, handsome? You're just an introverted guy. And so just watching you be like, hey, yeah, community, it's important. I don't need to be isolated. Community, it's important. That's awesome, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So awesome. That's cool, man. Are there any other things that you talk about transforming culture, impacting the people around you? Is there anything else that really stands out to you? Ways that we could do that, ways that you have done that, ways that you have seen it done that shaped and formed your life in significant ways?
I go back always to 1 Corinthians with Paul is find common ground with everyone, no matter how far along they are and how much you might disagree with them and everything. Find common grounds and get them to come to the faith. That's what it's all about. And reach out to people that, even if you might dislike, still reach out. So find common ground, help them grow in their faith, and transform them into a new being and one that will see the gifts of heaven.
Yeah,
which is what it's all about.
That's right. That's right, dude. I got this effect, even to the point of always something with everybody. You'll rarely find something. You'll rarely find somebody that you guys 100% disagree on. It's very rare. Like it can, I guess, in theory. I'll tell you what. One of my best friends in college. Oh my gosh, this is a funny story, but I really hope he doesn't listen to this one. So I didn't know him, but there was this girl in my class, and we had lunch together, and I was a single guy at the time, and I was being encouraged by people, hey, go out and go talk to a girl. That's a scary thing, right?
Terrifying.
And I was like, sure. And I talked with this girl. We had lunch. It was great. It was a normal conversation, nothing to it, right? And we exchanged numbers. We're in the same class, stuff like that. And I remember thinking, she's a pretty girl. She's a nice girl, right? And I remember, I think we had lunch on a Tuesday, and I think that weekend I got this invite to this small time holiday party in the basement of the upperclassmen dorm. So it was a nice spot, but everybody brought some food, nothing crazy. Probably 30, 40 people in this room. We're just eating, talking, meeting each other. I didn't know most of them, so it was just really cool. And they came in a little bit late. This girl brings this guy in. I'm thinking, oh, I'm an idiot. I really hope like I didn't overstep a bound here. I'm like, oh shoot. So I'm more concerned of I didn't want to like intrude on a relationship and less of a, oh great, she has another guy, because I get it, right? A lot of people on my campus are taken anyways. And so they sit next to me, right? And I start talking to this guy, and it turns out like he's an amazing guy. I love him. And we just grew our friendship from there. And now he's one of my best friends. And I'm like, so we even found common ground to the point of we thought the same girl was really attractive. I won't go as the same as the like thing. I'm not going to go as far as to say, oh yeah, I like this girl. But the point of, man, we both had that. That was our first thing that we found. That I learned that we had in common. We thought the same girl was pretty, right? And I just thought, man, it's just funny how it all works. And so who knows what kind of thing you can find in common with somebody, right? Thing is, you find things in common with them, and the things that you don't find in common, go learn something.
Yeah.
Even if, it don't mean your mind has to be changed. Go learn something. Like,
Absolutely.
Different kinds of people. Like, I'm selective about who I have on the podcast. I won't have a pagan on the podcast. This is a Christian podcast. But when I go out in the world, man, I'll go talk to a pagan. I'll go talk to a Muslim or a Mormon. I'll go talk to whoever I can, right? I'll go talk to people. Because that's important. That's how you learn. It's really cool. Like, I was in Utah a few months ago, and I learned so much over there. Doesn't mean that my mind was like changed or something. I just learned. It's cool. I developed as a human being. And the more you develop as a human being, the more you can contribute, the more you can serve. Like, so it's so cool about Christ, man, because I used to think 3 years ago, you knew the place I was in. Leave it at that. And I spent the next probably year and a half thinking about my own personal development. All right, this is my growth. This is what I want to be formed in. This is how Christ is transforming me. This is how I want to grow. Me, 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 me. And then about a year and a half ago now, my mind's shifted. And it's gradually shifted more and more to this until now. Like this past June, it was where something really clicked in my brain. I'm like, shoot, this is it. And now it's like Christ transforming in me is great, but can only go so far. Because Kobe Bryant defines greatness as the ability to inspire the person next to you. If I'm not doing that, because if it's all about my transformation, which is great, I'm not like Christ's greatness and Christ's transformation only goes so far. That means it means I have allowed it to die with me. But if I go out there and I go help, and I go serve, I don't have to just go preach. But if I go serve and minister that way, being the hands and feet, not just a speaker, but being hands and feet in my community and the people that I encounter and just in daily life, I don't need to go and serve at a soup kitchen to go to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I can show up to a class or I can show up and have a conversation, a random conversation at the cafeteria or something and do ministry, being the hands and feet and just serving somebody else, holding the door open for it. Just simple things of servitude. So important. Such an instrumental part of the faith and of living a truly fulfilling life. Like the transformation I experienced, it matters, it's helpful. It boosts what I'm going to do, but it's not the end all be all. My transformation does not end, it does not die with me. In fact, it's the first percent, it's the first fraction of what it means to live a godly life. Because then we use what we have learned, what we've been formed in, and we go transform others as we were transformed. And the more we are transformed, the better we can do that. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to transform others the way that Christ transformed us and letting Christ transform them through us. That's it. That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Man, I know we're starting to wrap up here, but if you got anything else, man, now is the time.
I think I'm good.
You think you're good? All right, man. For now. There's still more. We're still being formed. That's right.
Oh, 100%.
We're still being formed. So, hey, man, we'll continue being formed. And hopefully I don't ask you 3 years later to come back on, but
yeah, do a little less than 3 years.
Maybe a little. Who knows? A lot could happen, right? We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, man, continue being shaped, continue being formed, continue being inspired and being around those faithful communities and continue transforming others as you have been transformed.
Exactly. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, keep on that faith, man. That's awesome. Oh, man, thank you so much for coming on here. I love you to death, man. Thanks for letting me talk for an hour and you just sitting there looking pretty.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me on here, man. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for all the insights, man. I hope everything goes well, man. I hope you're blessed. I hope you continue to be blessed in where you are, man. That God uses you, man. Let God use you in the area that you're in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Living for His Glory. I had such an amazing time making it. And I really hope it connected and impacted you on a significant level. I love making and recording episodes like these. I truly believe that they fulfill the Living for His Glory mission, which is to help you break free of your worldly chains and step into the person that God has called you to be. I love you guys. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope that it changes something about how you do this week. I hope you have a good day and a good week as we continue to get ready for next week's episode. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later.